Good morning, everybody, and a happy Friday morning to you. Oh my gosh. Okay, there's a lot going on in here. We got Hunky Dunky Daddy looking really good and some other stuff. And of course, the big Harry Meghan story. It's a big one. You guys don't want to miss this. Let's jump in. Let's get busy. Let's go. We're going to start off with King Charles and Queen Camilla. They arrived in Belfast on their first visit to Northern Ireland this year. So the first stop was at an event at the Titanic Quarter of Belfast to celebrate this city's hosting this year's, it was a festival of Irish music and dance. I'm going to try to pronounce it. Herod Naharin. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Whew, that's a mouthful. This is the largest festival of Irish music and dance. Due to be held in August, it was the first time the city hosted the festival. So on Tuesday evening, Charles and Camilla arrived and they were greeted by Irish dancers. Now, one of the musicians involved in the event admitted being extremely nervous before the performance for royalty. She said, "I don't think I slept last night." She helps to run the ARDS CCE, which means Society for the Musicians of Ireland. Bringing everybody together, they said, is what it's all about. Members of the Belfast Bands Forum got a surprise when they showed up. The band members had not been briefed until the morning what was coming. So you had a lot of music and traditional Irish music and dancing, and the collaboration worked very well. It looks like they had a fabulous time. Now, at one point, Charles reached down and picked up what was a traditional Irish bodhran. I hope I'm saying that correctly. It's a drum. And somebody ran over and basically tried to show them how to use those drums appropriately. The two of them heard an instrumental version of I'll Tell Mama. Then local school children played a variety of instruments, including whistles and a harp, before performing them as they walked, Charles and Camilla walked down the lane. There were the dancers from different cultures, which represents Belfast's rich ethnic diversity. There was Mexican, Polish, and of course, there was a group from the multi-ethnic sport and culture Northern Ireland, which brings together people from diverse backgrounds to promote community cohesion. I love, this dancing reminded me of the river run that, I went to see here in town. It was fabulous. At one point, there was a drummer playing, and Charles couldn't resist getting involved. He was moving around to the music. The person he was dancing next to was originally from Zimbabwe and had been living in Belfast for 2.5 years, and they seemed to really be getting along. Then it was time to move on to the Titanic Distillers, which is a distillery that's within the restored Edwardian pump house that once served the adjoining dry dock, famed for holding the RMS Titanic, I might add. So after meeting the staff, they were taken on a tour of the copper stills before trying their hand at trying 2 different types of whiskey. Camilla, kind of raised her eyes dramatically, but tried a sip of the hard stuff, saying, "I've got to get to my next engagement." So she knocked it back. She rolled her eyes in surprise and went, "Wow, delicious, but boy, is that strong, but it's nice, it's warming." Looks like they really enjoyed it. And then they went on to their next event. So Camilla and Charles split off, and Camilla went to the Fane Street Primary School in South Belfast. Funny, the kids kept saying, "Are you the Queen? Are you the Queen?" She goes, "Yeah, the Queen." She made the exchange very touching, though. The pupils kept looking at her during the visit, and she seemed happy to let them, say and do whatever. It was adorable. The Queen really, they're saying, gently treated the children, how it stood out, that she answered them sincerely, speaking to them like adults as they, were in their school doing their thing. They said it was a very relaxed aura that continued throughout the afternoon, and Camilla really radiated warmth as the students gathered around her. Now, one child was sitting with a 6-year-old therapy dog, and we know Camilla is famously fond of dogs, and so I think the whole thing went very well. King Charles, in the meantime, visited W5 Life. It's learning innovation for everyone. It's a digital learning hub at Odyssey Place in Belfast. And he was there to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the King's Trust. Now, while he was there, he met with young people that are gaining digital skills. He watched some dance performances, and this initiative has supported over 100 young people with digital skills programs to build career resilience. Now, of course, the king interacted with numerous community organizations, looked at some comfort teddy bears that are created by the charity Teddy Care. And then, of course, there was a stop at a stall with young business owners supported by the trust, and the king bought a sweet beaded bag charm for Princess Charling, saying thank you. She'll just love that. This place is basically run in collaboration with the King's Trust. So I love the way it's spread out everywhere, helping everybody. When their afternoon engagements were over, the two of them were seen sitting down for a meeting with Northern Irish First Minister Michelle O'Neill and her deputy Emma Little Pengelly at Hillsborough Castle. And it looks like they took to social media to welcome the king. So this took place on May 19th. And just so you know, Hillsborough Castle is the official residence in Northern Ireland. So when Charles and Camilla are there, that's where they stay. A big thank you to Remoulade Sauce and to Carol M, as usual, for showing us everything that everybody was wearing on this particular trip. Let's move on. Next up, we have Princess Anne, the Princess Royal. She held a garden party at Buckingham Palace. This also took place on May 19th. This is Anne's annual garden party for the Not Forgotten Association, which is a charity that supports ill, wounded, and isolated military personnel. The garden party hosted over 2,000 ex-servicemen and women, and this year's gathering held special significance because it paid tribute to the 15th anniversary of the end of the Iraq War and the 60th anniversary of the end of the Borneo confrontation. Now, Anne has been patron since 2000, but the most interesting happened when Robert Bob Piper, who's 100 years old, told Princess Anne that she needs to slow down. I cannot picture Anne's response to somebody telling her that she needs to slow down. Could you imagine? Oh my God. All right, let's move on now to Secret Weapon Sophie. She made an appearance at the World Health Assembly in Geneva on Tuesday, delivering an appeal for global action on avoidable sight loss. She was speaking in her capacity as global ambassador for the International Agency for the Prevention of Blindness, and she addressed health ministers, diplomats, and international health leaders about the scale of the crisis. More than 1 billion people worldwide are affected by preventable and treatable vision impairment. And she emphasized this was not through any lack of solutions, but through a lack of sustained prioritized action. Now, this address is a significant moment in elevating eye health on international agendas. And we know that she was there 2 days after Meghan left, but I'm sure that Sophie's event went a lot better than Meghan's did. Big thank you to Remoulade Sauce and to Carol M for showing us what Sophie was wearing at this event. Let's continue. Let's move on to Prince William. We knew he was going to be heading to Istanbul to support Aston Villa in the final that was coming up. And we also know that Prince William has had a lot of support for Aston Villa. And one of the players spoke out and said, Prince William once called me a Rolls Royce. I absolutely love that. Now, William also sent a message of support to the team ahead of the final before he headed to the final. You know that message was full of support. Now, before I stop talking and just let you watch, because you know what happened, I just want to make the comment that Hunky Dunky Daddy was looking really hunky at this event, okay? So let me play some music. You guys can just watch. Here we go. right, before we move on, I want to talk about this card. We all remember the card from British Airways, and come to find out, you only get the card when they're notified ahead of time. So obviously whoever made their airline flight reservation said, oh, did you know it's their anniversary? And that's why she got the card. It seems to me that some of the people that were signing the card were trolling Harry and Meghan, because if you look up really close, how many Richie Riches do you think work for British Airways? Ooh, hiss. Now, in an attempt to keep the attention on her, Meghan's drip feeding these pictures out. I gotta be honest, she doesn't look happy in this picture, and the guy that she's staring at is the one she took the selfie with, who's a self-proclaimed Nazi. And a big thank you for Summer Bell on Twitter for bringing these pictures up. I mean, the photoshopping, the filters. I mean, she can't just show her face anymore. Now let's stick with Prince William. They're saying his vision for a new style of monarchy makes Harry's half-in, half-out money-making look grubby and shameless. Because we just found out, did we not, that William is selling part of the Duchy of Cornwall, and 500 million pounds will be raised, and it will be one of the largest property sales known, and it will be invested in local communities, including affordable housing and environmental projects. And his gesture basically confirms he wants to reshape the monarchy, which has already seen Andrew and Sarah dethroned, and we know that it's probably going to spell curtains for Beatrice and Eugenie as well. The point is, William has plans to be more than just a traditional Landover, and he is prioritizing things that are making people's lives better, which shines a bad light on Meghan and Harry, because since they left the UK, they have become zealous to the point of obsessive, of shameless commercialism. They have repeatedly revealed secrets and private conversations about the royal family in books, TV interviews, and documentaries for the point of personal gain and to try to topple the monarchy. But their TV deals are crumbling. Netflix's With Love Meghan was axed. Her As Ever brand is struggling. And now they have to come up with a new way to fund their lifestyle. So cue the start of their recent, fake royal tours. You had Jordan, then you had Australia. And so while Harry has basically sold his family down the river to fund his lifestyle, William is looking to sell his family inheritance to fund good causes. And therein lies the difference. Now, we are aware that Harry is returning to the UK in just like 2 months, but people are warning him it's not going to go the way he expects, because he really wants to see his dad. They are saying Meghan will not go. She's going to stay back in Montecito. People are telling Harry, it's reported that King Charles has his hopes set on a reunion with Harry and the grandchildren, but not Meghan. Harry is well aware he's treading a very fine line in terms of moving forward. He wants to keep his relationship with his dad while showing Meghan that through his actions, he's still respecting her and the life that they've built together. Yeah, no, it's just not going to work. And I don't think, in my opinion, the king is going to meet him, because look what happened the last time. Within a day or two, everything that had been said was leaked. The guy can't be trusted. Now, I want to finish up with this article, which actually came out a few months ago, but I wonder if people really are aware of what was going on behind the scenes. We know that the Vanity Fair article about Harry and Meghan that came out has been completely dismissed, or it was dismissed by Harry and Meghan, and they described it as distressing. But among the shocking allegations, including claims that Meghan was a bullying boss while Harry was completely disengaged, was the suggestion that people who work for them spoke to an unnamed publishing house to gauge interest in the idea of a book about her life post-divorce, even though the couple hadn't even split up. It was also stated in the piece that this was not on the horizon for the Sussexes, with another source saying their love is real and they're still hot for each other. Yeah. But it's not the Vanity Fair article that upset the people in the palace. It was the article back in 2017 on Vanity Fair. Remember, Meghan learned she was going to be on the cover, and it was an ambition she had long wanted, but one that she could only dream because she was still just a minor actress on a TV legal drama. As a matter of fact, She'd been written out. And the cover of Vanity Fair was reserved for genuine stars. So when they approached her, the magazine did, after the news broke about how she was dating Harry, Meghan was so excited. And she's just wild about Harry, gushed the headline that September. Now, the magazine talked about Meghan being biracial, her romance, it talked about Suits, and while she was jubilant at the prospect of this double whammy because she bagged Harry and the Vanity Fair cover, royal officials were perturbed by the article when it was published. It was like a punch to the solar plexus, they said. We do not expect friends of members of the royal family to give interviews like this. And they talked about Catherine, the Princess of Wales, and Lady Diana Spencer, who waited until after their engagements had been announced before they gave interviews. And in both cases, it was organized by palace officials for the TV cameras under the strictest of conditions. Harry and Meghan's engagement was not announced until 2 months after the Vanity Fair article was published. The point is, people at the palace understood that Meghan was using the relationship for publicity purposes. Now, of course, a source close to Harry and Meghan insists that Kensington Palace had signed off on Meghan's interview in 2017, and while palace officials may have agreed to the idea of an article, they had no idea what would be in it. And Meghan was quoted very openly about her, hanging out with Harry, saying, "We're in love, this time's for us, it's part of what makes us so special, it's just ours, but we're happy. And personally, I love a great love story." But Meghan had been feverishly excited about the prospect of the cover story, but then she was also upset by the cover story. Meghan started acting like a victim almost immediately because we know that royal author Valentine Lowe wrote Courtiers, The Hidden Power Behind the Crown, and we found out that Meghan was upset because the focus of the article was about her relationship with Harry. She was unhappy how that was handled, and she was looking to throw, problems in every direction. She didn't like the pictures, she thought the story was negative, and then there was the title, I'm Just Wild About Harry. She claimed that had been performed by Judy Garland and Mickey Rooney as a blackface number, and therefore it was racist. It had nothing to do, however, according to her, with the newspaper headline, I'm Just Wild About Harry, when Diana left the hospital with the baby. There is speculation that the negative tone of the Vanity Fair piece was influenced by the journalist's experience in dealing with Meghan in 2017. And then the 8,000-word cover story under the headline American Hustle includes claims that staff who worked for Meghan found her awful and felt they could be thrown to the wolves at any given moment. This magazine cited multiple sources who worked for Harry and Meghan since they had left Britain, including a former employee who said they couldn't at first believe the claims that Meghan bullied any staff at Buckingham Palace. But after working for Meghan, they were like, oh yeah, on any given Tuesday, this happened. You could be yelled at, even if somebody doesn't raise their voice. And it's funny that people don't differentiate between the energy of being yelled at and literally somebody screaming at you. That was when Meghan was dubbed a mean girl. And they said working on her short-lived Archetypes podcast for Spotify in 2022 was a painful experience. One colleague with ties to the podcast took a leave of absence after 3 episodes and then quit. Some described taking extended breaks from work to escape scrutiny. They left their jobs, undergoing long-term therapy. And in the meantime, that same magazine, American Hustle, portrayed Harry as a dim-witted, if well-meaning prince who came up with crazy ideas, like a sociopath podcast that would involve him interviewing like Vladimir Putin. A former worker for Spotify who ended their contract with Harry and Meghan in 2023 said Harry was challenging to engage with and was giving the air of why should I do this in interviews. And cryptically, that same article speculated on rumors that Meghan was approached to write that post-divorce book, though of course added it was not on the horizon. So the Sussexes declined to cooperate with that Vanity Fair piece and have refused to comment on it. So now we know what was going on with the Queen at that wedding. Now we understand the looks that she was giving Meghan. She knew what Meghan was about. She knew it wasn't going to work. She knew Meghan was trouble, but what could she do? Yeah, you can see from the look on her face. All right, you guys, you know what to do. Put those comments down, make them good. Don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button and the bell for all notifications. Then go down into the description box where you'll find the link to my Twitter, my Gettr, my Rumble, my email, a link to my father's book, which remains up for sale on Amazon, a link to my Amazon wish list, as well as a physical address. For those of you who have donated to my coffee fund, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.